Hello besties, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my top reads of 2025. I am so excited to film this video. Okay, without further ado, I'm not going to drag the intro. We are going to jump straight into it because I have a lot of books to talk about, and as usual, as I did for last year, I'm not going to rank the books. I'm going to talk about my top reads in every genre or every category or subgenre. And the first genre that I'm going to talk about is the adult fantasy or epic fantasy. And you knew it when I read this book and review it. We all knew that this is going to end up on my top reads. I loved this book so much. The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. This was a masterpiece. I want to start by reading my comment, my review on Goodreads. I wrote, cutthroat, gruesome, and hilarious. This was everything I didn't know I needed, and I still stand by that. This was one of the most memorable reads for me of the year. This had such an impact on me when I read it, and I still think about these characters and I still think about this amazing, phenomenal adventure. We have an unlikely cast of characters that I couldn't help but fall in love with. The notorious magician Balthazar, the strong warrior who has been cursed to not to die, to be immortal, Jacob of Thorn, an elf who can become invisible. Her name is Sunny, and she quickly became one of my favorite characters in the book. We also get Baptiste. She's an ex-pirate and, funnily enough, a lady in waiting. I loved her. We have an old as dirt vampire, Baron Rickard, and we have one of my favorite characters too, Vega. She's a monstrous, a bloodthirsty werewolf. I loved her so much, with the sweetest heart ever. And the mission and the adventure that they go through in the story is so captivating. The fighting scenes are phenomenal, and the dialogue and the witty banter, hilarious. I loved every single facet of this book. I cannot wait to read more books in this universe. I think it's going to be a series. And yes, this is just phenomenal. The next phenomenal book that is in a completely different, I want to say, vibe, right here, Alchemized. I had to add. I mean, this is going to be on a lot of people's top reads of 2025 for sure. This book just ripped my heart to pieces. This is a very dark, very depressing story, I want to say. You have to be in the right state of mind when you pick up this book because it's quite heavy on the themes of war and violence and a lot of explicit violent scenes. Very heavy read, I want to say. But even though it took me like 30% to get into the book, the beginning was a bit rough for me. I'm not going to lie. I was a bit lost and I thought that it dragged a little bit. But then once the story kicks in, once you understand the magic system and once you get used to the characters, it takes another turn. It really ripped my heart to pieces. And I don't mean only the romance. The romance is so precious. I want to say one of the most memorable romances I read about in a fantasy world, but also like the trauma, the sacrifice, the loss, the destruction that war leaves behind, and the people who survive, how they are living and how they are surviving. And it is just so heartbreaking. As I said, the writing is just so immersive. You don't just read it, you are living the story along with them and you feel their pain. And for me, I'm a very empathetic reader. It really hit me so hard. Yeah, this has to be one of my top reads of 2025 when it comes to adult fantasy, Alchemized. Okay, the next subgenre that I'm going to talk about is dark romantic comedy. This series just stood out for me. I couldn't make this video without mentioning it because these books made me laugh out loud so hard, and also they left me in shock. Like, some scenes were so shocking. I devoured these books. The Ruinous Love Trilogy, here too, by Bryn Weaver. These books are phenomenal. If you want a hard laugh, but at the same time, very dark themes, and if you love reading about serial killers, but like the humor made it lighter, right? Even though the circumstances of the book or of the scene we are in are horrendous, the humor made it so much lighter and so much easier to digest if you love following around serial killer protagonists. And in this book, they are in this kind of competition. These are it. These are it. Rowan and Sloane, and we have Lark and Lachlan, and in the third book we have Fionn and Rose, and all these MMCs are brothers, the Kane brothers, and they are everything you need and more. Every single character, I mean, not only the MMCs, but also the FMCs, they are so unhinged, they are so unpredictable. These books are so much fun to read. I loved every single one of them. The whole series is a 5 stars for me. I loved every single one of them, and I highly, highly recommend the audiobooks. Next up, I'm going to talk about why choose fantasy romance. Even though I still didn't read the second book, I need to talk about this book because it left such an impact. Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Maas. This was so good. This was absolutely amazing. And what made it even better is the audiobook. The audiobook performance, I remember it, is top tier. The self-deprecation and the humor in this book, while being so deep and so emotional, and check trigger warnings, of course, because yeah, a lot of violence and like child abuse too, especially at the beginning of the book, that are scenes that are so horrible that they made me uncomfortable at times, very hard to read about, especially in the beginning. But I adored this book. Let me read you what I wrote on Goodreads. This was unputdownable, addictive, and so well paced. Plus, the humor and the inner dialogue made me laugh so hard. Highly recommend the audiobook. I mentioned the audiobook too. It is hilarious. I cannot wait to reread this book. I cannot wait to meet these characters again and read the second book. I'm so sad that it's only a duology. I hope we get more books in this universe. And yeah, this is absolutely amazing. And another why choose that I want to mention, that I don't have it physically, it is an urban paranormal fantasy, and it is the Hellgate Guardian series by Raven Kennedy and Ivy Asher. In these books, we are following Delta. She's 28 years old, and she took a job as a Hellgate Guardian without knowing that she's going to be the guard, basically, to a gate to hell, where like creatures are trying to creep into our world. And her employers are these 4 demons who have been sent to be responsible for this gate, basically. We have Rafferty, Crux, Echo, and Sheriff, and all of them have these very distinct, different personalities. I fell in love with every single one of their characters, and I fell in love with Delta too. She's so sassy and full of life and so hilarious. And we also follow different characters in other books. I don't want to spoil anything, but this series as a whole was such a fun time. I really enjoyed it. And if you love why choose and urban fantasy, you will definitely love this one too. And the next category that I'm going to mention is dark contemporary romance. I don't own these books physically, but the first series that I need to mention that left such an impact on me this year is the Ravenhood series by Kate Stewart. These books are so different. They are so twisty and ridiculously steamy, but the plot and the romance, I can't even explain it. These characters are so real to me. Like in my head, they are real. The way she wrote their emotions and their interactions and everything made the story so real. After reading book one, I felt so lucky that all the books are already out in the series because I couldn't stop reading and I wanted more. And of course, after that ending, I needed to know more. And the story kept getting better and better and more heartbreaking. And the tears that I shed while reading this series, I was completely devastated. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I'm so happy that I didn't read, like, it was vague. The synopsis was vague, but you don't have to read it. Trust me. They were just so good. But like, buckle up. This is not an easy read by any means. And it brings me to my next read because Under Your Scars by Ariel N. Sanderson. This is the kind of book. First of all, check trigger warnings for both books, especially this one. So dark. So dark. A lot of trauma, a lot of, yeah, check trigger warnings for sure. It's not an easy read. The story is extremely dark, extremely devastating and heartbreaking. So I would give it 6 stars if I can, but I'm not recommending it lightly because I know the trigger warnings are heavy with this one. This book hit me so hard that I finished it feeling completely drained, like sick to my stomach, like completely empty feeling. But with that being said, I would reread it in a heartbeat because it was absolutely phenomenal. I loved every single moment of it, even though I already know what's going to happen if I reread it, but I loved it so much. Check trigger warnings if you decide to pick up this one. The next genre that I'm going to talk about is thrillers. I read quite a lot of thrillers this year, and the ones that stood out for me are, first of all, Alice Feeney, Rock, Paper, Scissors, and Beautiful Ugly. First of all, Rock, Paper, Scissors is perfect for this time of the year because it takes place in a very snowy setting and isolated setting too. Well, Beautiful Ugly is also an isolated setting on a Scottish island, if I remember correctly. Creepy, both of them were creepy at times, and a lot of things that happen and we don't understand, like, what the hell is going on. And yeah, the plot twist at the end got me and they kept me reading. Like, I didn't want to stop reading. They were so captivating, and I'm going to read more by this author for sure. I loved her writing style and I loved her plot twists, and the atmosphere was so good. And the next book that I want to talk about, I read it in my TBR jar. Marcus Cleaver, We Used to Live Here. I cannot believe that this is his debut horror thriller. Well, this has horror too. So this is not 100% thriller, but it also has a lot of horror elements, and it really made me scared. To be honest, this was quite scary. At the same time, you cannot help yourself but keep reading. It was so twisty and it grabbed my attention from the first chapter, especially like it's not a weird situation at all. Like, people, it could happen in real life that people knock on your door and ask you to give a tour for their family. Like, I used to live here, can you guys let us come in? A family of dad, mom, and 3 kids. And you think, well, where's the harm in that, you know? But then they don't leave. They don't seem to leave. And oh my God, it made me crazy. It made me question what is real and what is not. It was so twisty and it kept getting more complicated, and I loved it so much. I really do hope that this turns into a series because one book does not give it justice, to be honest. This is brilliant. I loved it. I also need to mention one more series in the thrillers category by Frida McFadden. Shocker. This really shocked me too, because like her books are usually like very easy to digest and like fast thrillers, but I rarely give them 5 stars. But this one, the Housemaid series, why didn't I pick up this one sooner? I don't know. This was so good. I mean, some books were better than others. I want to say the third book is my least favorite. But with that being said, as a whole, as a series, 100% recommend. I couldn't put it down. Pick up the audiobooks. The audiobooks are very, very good. So fast-paced, very gripping. I love them. I didn't guess the twists, and I really, really enjoyed my time with them. Okay, the next category that I'm going to talk about is also thriller, but this is a crime mystery thriller. So if you love following around a detective trying to investigate a series of crimes, this is the one. By S.A. Cosby, All Sinners Bleed. This book was phenomenal. Titus, the main male character in this book, is one of the best written characters, hands down. He's just that guy. And in the story, we are following him while he is investigating in this small town setting where there is a serial killer on the loose. And underneath it all, we have systemic racism and we have a lot of corruption. And it made everything more darker and more intense, and the depth of the characters, and like we get their families and their history, and like we are detangling the threads little by little as we follow Titus. And it was so gripping and thrilling. And it's not your fast-paced thriller, but the story will keep you turning the pages. Like, you have to be patient, but it was so well done. And the themes that are in this book are so well done too. This is an amazing read. Highly recommended. And from that, I'm going to jump to adult Gothic fantasy. Here, I need to mention one book, which is the sequel to a book that was also on my top reads of 2024 last year, Enchantra, which is the sequel to Phantasma. Equally loved them, both of them. Both are 5 stars. I loved Enchantra so much. I mean, Blackwell and Ophelia from Phantasma, loved them, but I also loved Genevieve and Rowan and the Silver family. They are so unhinged, mentally sick. I love them so much. The Gothic vibes, as usual, are on point, and the games and the action and like the deadly games in Enchantra, I feel like they are even deadlier than Phantasma, because in Phantasma, I think you can tap out. But here, they are more brutal and deadly because they are between family members, and like one has to die. Like, you cannot just opt out. I felt like we were in Squid Game, but make it family trauma, family scheming, and like backstabbing. It was so wild. I loved it so much. And the second book, I need to mention this because we are in the adult Gothic fantasy subgenre. Where is it? Here it is. Our Gothic mastermind, Rachel Gillig, The Night and the Moth, was... What can I say about this book? This was so on point. I'm going to read a part of my review. I love how creative Rachel Gillig is with her world building, and this one was so uniquely dark, sinister, and twisted. Sucked me in completely. And let's talk about Gargoyle. Oh my god, he stole the whole show. I would literally go to war to protect him. Yeah, I love this book so much. I love Sybil and Roderick's relationship development. I loved how she began to discover herself and the world along with him. I loved the adventure that they went on. The monsters, the lore, like meeting the omens and understanding the mystery. And the writing style was so immersive and lush and absolutely beautiful. And that ending made me so, so angry. I need book two right now. I cannot wait to reread this book and read book two. This is definitely one of the best, top tier Gothic fantasy that you could ever read. I loved it so, so much. And of course, this category would not be complete without me mentioning the Master Carrie Lake, because Anathema was absolutely phenomenal. I didn't read the synopses going into this book, and I was so pleasantly surprised with the world building, with the characters, with the plot. I was just, I was so enthralled by everything that was happening in that book, and the monsters were so disgusting at times, and I loved it so much. I'm so happy that I also read the audiobook, because I remember a lot of names, and there is also a different language in the book. So the audiobook really helped a lot, and it was so immersive. And yeah, absolutely phenomenal. I raved a lot about it in my review. I will link it down below, but I loved it so much. If you are looking for your next adult Gothic read that is also so creepy at times, this is it. The next category is the YA fantasy romance. I read quite a bit of YA also this year, and the first book that I want to read my Goodreads comments of too is Creatures of Chaos by Julie Hull. I really enjoyed this book. This was such a pleasant surprise, and it really made me love this special edition even more and like cherish it even more, because I loved the book so much. I wrote, if you were obsessed with the epic old school CW supernatural shows, this book is 100% for you. Creatures of Chaos is YA urban fantasy at its finest, a world where everyone has powers. We have shifters, we have vampires, we have fae, and in the middle of all of it, we have Lachlan, our FMC, but her problem is that she's powerless in a world where everyone wields some kind of power. So she gets thrust into this competition, or she chooses to be a part of this competition to gain some power if she becomes the winner. But then we start to discover secrets, and the stakes become higher. And Talon, oh my god, the MMC, yeah, we have two beautiful MMCs in here. I highly recommend it. It was such a fun time. I cannot wait for the sequel to arrive so I can continue my journey with these characters. Yeah, for a YA fantasy, this was so, so good. Also, I need to mention in this genre, where is it? Yeah, I didn't take it out from my bookshelves. The Glittering Edge by Alyssa Valaire. Corey and Alonzo and Penny are among my favorite characters of the year. This book is for the people who loved the Raven Boys, like me, and still need more stories like that. This is for you. This is a character-driven story. We are in a small town where magic might exist, and we have an old feud between two powerful families, the Barons, which is Corey's family, and the Lucas, which is Alonzo's family. And Penny, she just gets stuck in the middle between them. And this is another book where I felt like the characters were real, and the story is happening somewhere in our world, and I loved it so much. I cannot wait for the sequel. And yeah, this is a YA fantasy, very, very well done. Okay, the next category that I'm going to talk about is dark urban fantasy. And of course, this has to go to Scarlett Sinclair, Terror at the Gates, because Lilith is it. I was so pleasantly surprised with this book. I inhaled it. I didn't read the synopsis for this one either, and I went into it blind, and I didn't expect that I was going to be sucked into this world so completely. I loved it so much. I need to read my comment for this one too. My comment on Goodreads says, dark urban fantasy meets raw, unfiltered female rage. That is it. 100% it. This is a feral scream in a book. Lilith is an unapologetic, blood-soaked badass, and the religious commentary in this book are sharp, fearless, and blasphemously brilliant. Scarlett Sinclair did not come to play. I devoured it and wanted more. This was absolutely brilliant. I loved this book so much. And in my comment, I didn't mention Zaharev, the MMC, but he, believe me when I tell you, he deserves to be mentioned because he shot up to one of my top MMCs in seconds. He's so ruthless and cutthroat, yet so patient and caring and gentle when it comes to Lilith. The duality in his character completely made me melt. I loved him so much, and the plot and everything that goes down into this book are so chaotic and crazy. It was so good. I really loved it, and I cannot wait to reread it. I loved it so much. Next, 3 books or 3 series that I need to mention in this category: adult fantasy romance. Let's start with, because I don't own Brimstone yet, it didn't arrive yet. I own this beautiful, beautiful edition of Quicksilver. What can I say about this man? He's on top of my list, of course, him and Zaharev. I loved Brimstone so much. I loved Quicksilver even more when I reread it. And then I listened to the audiobook of Kingfisher's POV. Don't skip it. Don't skip it. If you finish Quicksilver, read or listen. It is only available via audiobook, if I remember correctly. Kingfisher's POV on Audible. And then read Brimstone. Oh my God. I didn't even know that it was possible for Kali Hart to top Quicksilver, but she did it. She did it because Brimstone was everything I needed in a sequel and more. How she came into her power, our magnificent Ceres, how the magic system expansion and how she was learning, and it was so empowering. I love her character so much. She's a queen. And the romance between her and Kingfisher, what can I say? What can I say? It was even more epic than Quicksilver. It was so extremely hot. I don't know what's the word. It was steamy. It was so beautiful. Like his love and complete and utter devotion for her should be taught, to be honest, in romantic relationships. And the found family aspect got even stronger in Brimstone, how their connections deepened and their interactions, and don't even get me started on Carrion. He's a superstar. He's a superstar. He steals the spotlight every time he's in the scene on page. I love his banter so much. I love his comebacks. I love every dialogue he's included in. He's so charming and witty, and I love his character. It's as simple as that. I fell in love with this character, and yeah, I can't. I love this world so much. Next up, I need to mention 2 series that I finished this year. I started and finished this year. Where are you? The Blood and Steel, the Legends of Thesmar series. You've heard me rave about this book or this series multiple times. I have mentioned them, especially when Iron Embers came out. I was like, don't read it before you read this one, so you get the emotional impact of the series as a whole. Yeah, Thea and Wilder Hawthorne, are the power couple. I love them so much. I love that women do not have the right to become warriors, and she was training in secret, and she knew in her heart she's a warrior. She wants to do that, and she didn't care about the rules, and she wanted to do what she wanted to do, basically. I love her strong character. I love how she was so protective of the people she cared about, and she was just relentless and so strong-headed when it comes to the things that she wanted to do with her life. Even though like they had these old prophecy passed down through generations that if women start to wield steel, then the world will end or something like that. Yeah, I love the training scenes. The world building, everything. Yeah, I love the series so much. And the other series that I need to talk about, also Iron and Embers, the sequel series, you can say, to this one is, I only read book 1, but I fell in love. I gave it 5 stars. It was so, so good. The other series that I want to mention is Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Roweridge. I'm still waiting for my Booktok special editions of this one. We are following Scarlet and her 2 sisters. We have 3 beautiful, ruthless women, assassins, and they have been raised to become assassins, of course, and she has been trained her whole life to take life and to torture. I thought that the world building and magic system were very well done. I loved Scarlet's character so much. She has past trauma and a lot of inner demons that she fights with on daily basis, and I felt that her character was so relatable, and her inner thoughts and her inner fights are so relatable. It made her feel raw and human and so easy to connect with. I also think if you loved Throne of Glass, and if you love like a bigger world with a bigger cast of characters and a lot of traveling and everything, and especially if you love a female assassin, I love a book with a female assassin. It's one of my favorite characters. You will love this series. You will enjoy this series so much. And I cannot wait to read the Legacy series. I think it's going to be one of my top series of next year too. The next category that I decided to include in this year's video that I didn't do in 2024 is books that surprised me in the best way possible. And the first book is Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. This surprised me because I cannot believe this is her debut fantasy. This author writes only contemporary romance. This, with the politics, with the mysterious disease going around, with the action-packed scenes, I can't help it but applaud her talent and the way she moved the story and complex fantasy politics. This book has so much going for it, and I really loved it so much. I didn't feel like it dragged in any part. I was hooked from the beginning, and the romance was so well done, every single part of it. I loved it so much. I cannot wait for the sequel. And yes, this book surprised me in the best way possible. The next book that also surprised me in the best way possible, I took away the dust jacket, is The Windweaver by Julie Johnson. In this book, we are following a halfling. Her name is Rhea, and buckle up because Rhea's story is action-packed, is so very well paced, with lush and immersive imagery that will pull you in instantly. I loved how we met our MMC. I love that it is reluctant allies to lovers. I love that we didn't trust him in the beginning. I love the bickering so much. The mystery and twists were heart-pounding, and the world building was not info-dumpy at all. I really enjoyed my time with this one. Highly recommend. And the next book that I was very well surprised and pleasantly surprised with, Firebird by Juliet Cross. I keep mentioning this book because I really want more people to pick up this book. This was ancient Rome reimagined with, of course, fantasy and dragon shifters. This was so good. Let me read you my comment on Goodreads. absolutely love this one. It's a slave master romance, but with a fresh, unexpected twist that sets it apart. Don't let other reviews deter you. This story is beautifully crafted and emotionally rich. Julian is the kind of hero that steals your heart, a true gentleman with a soul full of compassion and dragon shifters. Hell yes! I love this book so much. And as I said in the comment, this deserves all the hype. Please read it. Check trigger warnings because there are some scenes that are very violent, but a very, very good dark romance, in my opinion. And yeah, with that being said, we are at the end of the video. Let me know what are your favorite reads of 2025 so I can add them to my reading list of 2026. Let me know if you read one of these books and if you agree with me or not. And yeah, thank you so much for an amazing year. I appreciate every single one of you. I really adore this community that we have created together. And if it is your first time here with me, please stick around and subscribe. I would love to have you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.